A very good day to you. It's the final day here on the Volta Algarve. The weather not quite so good as it was. It all comes down to today's time trial. 34.8 kilometers. Tony Martin is only 28 seconds back on Sergio Henao. Henao leading overnight for Team Sky. And it's all going to be very, very difficult for the young Colombian because the World Time Trial champion not that far off the pace. Looking as though he was going well yesterday. He really was setting the pace at the front of the peloton, just testing out legs more than anything else. Scene of activity at the front of the race today. Just saw Emanuele Boiaro wearing the mountains classification jersey. This is his speciality today. The time trial. This is Castro Marim in the Algarve. The weather's turned nasty. Let's have a look at the course. 34.8 kilometers should suit Tony Martin, and the big ruler is quite well. You can see, well, it's quite twisting and turning. It's not a straightforward time trial, so it might play into the hands of Sergio Henao a little bit. I'm doubtful as to whether he can compete with some of the big cloggers. But as you can see, not anywhere near as pan flat or straight as many time trial courses, so there'll be a lot of shifts backwards and forwards here. Finishing at Tavira today. And rolling off the ramp. You can see the weather just not so good, beginning to dry up just a little bit. The rain had stopped by the time they started off, but still not a great day to be time trialing in lots of damp patches on corners. Got to be a little bit careful. The countryside, well, it's, as you can see, not pan flat. You saw it from the look down. There's Dennis Menchoff on the far left-hand side. And the Radio Shack boys warming up as well. This is Team Sky. Trying to get themselves all to go. Konstantin Svitsov, very good time choice. There's Tiernan Locke at the far end of this group of bikes here. Tiernan Locke, a new recruit, of course, to Team Sky after winning the Tour of Britain in such style with Endura last year, and that took a long time to broker that deal. This is Boiaro. Young Manuele Boiaro, he loves a good time trial, but not the best of days today for Boiaro. Certainly in terms of weather, but he won't mind it too much. And this is the team everybody will be watching, to be honest. The size of the dinner plate on that. Race leader, Sergio Henao. Henao warming up next to Rigoberto Urán. Here we go, Jan Bakelens, wearing number 51 on his back. He's been in a couple of breaks, or trying to close down breaks and getting across, and Bakelens going well out on the course today as it began to dry up, but the road surface is pretty good, but just a little bit rise and fall all the time. Radio Shack haven't got an awful lot out of this. Is Andreas Kloden. Kloden, a very good time trialist. And everybody underestimated Andreas Kloden. I remember when he first came back to racing after that shoulder injury, the separated shoulder that he had for such a long time back in the T-Mobile days. I underestimate the fact that he is a very good time trialist. He's a very forthright person, one has to say, Andreas Kloden, in the, how do we say, the twilight of his career, is that the best way of putting it? Always rides slightly crooked. Have you noticed? The right shoulder always drops a little bit. Hasn't, I think it's a function of previous injury. Best time at this point being set by Jan Bakkelens of 47.41. Over went Andreas Kloden, also Radio Shack Leopard Trek, 47.13. Local boy, or sorry, local hero, Rui Costa. Heading out onto course. Rui Costa looking quite good actually at the moment. And good early part of the season. Obviously wants to do well here in the Tour of the Algarve, being his home tour, Tour of Portugal. One of his home tours, and in fact the Volta Portugal is a tough race. This early season Tour of the Algarve is a nice tester for legs, but Rui Costa, I think, is destined to be, if he continues to improve at a steady rate, one of the stars, undoubted stars of Movistar this year. The time he's aiming at 47.13 from Andreas Kloden. Nasty little dig up to the finish, over the line. And a time recorded of 46.56 for Rui Costa. This is Tiago Machado, another Portuguese rider. Machado has been twice second here in Tour of the Algarve. Ooh. Never want to hit little bumps in the road like that, especially when it's been a bit wet. I think they're all pretty glad that the sun has come out and started to dry things off. Fairly dry now. They were a bit worried first of all this morning. It always looks those saddles too low to me, Machado. Clearly it's not, but he has a riding style where he doesn't bend his knees very much, does he? Putting in a bit of effort. Tiago Machado, number 55 here. Going towards the line, and that little dig up towards the finish, aiming at fellow Portuguese rider Rui Costa's 46.56. Up the final climb to the finish. Good time by Tiago Machado. 46.56, exactly the same as Rui Costa. Russian time trial champion Denis Menchov, twice the winner of the Volta, one which he inherited after Roberto Heras was banned, one in his own right, and winner of the Giro d'Italia. Let's hope he stays upright in this particular time trial. Spectacular crash with 200 odd meters to go to the finish. Ooh, fabulous riding by Denis Menchov, catching his minute man. Not particularly worried. That's exactly what he did. Looks like John Tiernan Locke actually. And although he'll catch again on the hill, Menchov is absolutely flying along at the moment. A lot of people have the opinion of Denis Menchov being terribly dull as a person, because he's always got this sort of self-contained ability, but he's actually quite a funny guy. So we're led to believe. Certainly when you meet him socially, he's always smiling and happy, but it's just when he's out in front of camera or we see him on the bike, he's sort of completely expressionless, but going well at the moment. Menchov, he has to do well, I think, this year. His career, not nosedive, but it's sort of just dropped off a little bit. Here's a good time trialist. This is Jonathan Castro of Movistar. Really a time trial specialist. Castro a couple of years ago was with Euskaltel. Be careful around these first 2 or 3 bends.
Out
on the road it's pretty good, very low for Castro and they've been working very hard on their positions, Movistar. Terribly, really flat backed. He's gone for the crossover hand style almost at the front and gets a very low position. Really tucked in there. It's not an easy position to ride in. Castro finishing with a great time, 46.39, fastest so far. Back out on the course, this is Liwe Westra, Dutch national time trial champion. And he's been going very well through the Tour of the Algarve. We know how well he went in Paris-Nice last year, and I would not be at all surprised if he springs something fairly good on us this year in the early part of the season. Seems to go fairly well. Van der Schuren in the car, shouting the encouragement, but this sort of parkour suits Westra. Time to beat at the moment, 46.39 of Jonathan Castro, so the good time trialists out.
Dat is het, hè. Dat is het. Dat is het. En nu komt dat beest los, hè. Nu komt dat beest los.
Here comes Liwe Westra. Up to the line, still churning out a big gear. Good time by Westra. 46.25 for Westra. There's Ahmed's Cheruka just about to be caught by Jesse Sargent by the look of it, who's sprinting up here. Look, he's going well. There's plenty of energy in him. Ahmed's Cheruka swiftly dispatched. Ooh. Jesse Sargent's giving this a lot. Going well. Oh, full effort up to the line for Jesse Sargent, turning in a time of 46.24. This is Kwiatkowski of Omega Pharma Quick Step. Well, had a very good last couple of years, had a very good year last year. A bit of an underrated rider, I think, this man. Polish rider, Kwiatkowski, and away. Whoa, whoa, careful boy. Stay upright, a little bit slippy. Well controlled. Still a bit of dampness on the road, but a lot of this is just worn surface now. It's a good job that the much of the damp has gone off some of this surface, because it's sort of worn slick in many places. He's a good climber as well, Kwiatkowski, so this sort of course won't really bother him. A lot of the riders having to spend a lot of time on the flats of the bars here, not down on the aero position. Lots of changing of gear going on across the whole of the course. Looking strong, Kwiatkowski. Oh, that's good. Just look at the way he came around there. Nice position, going well. Not the most airy. Looks a little bit Chavanel-like, doesn't he? On the bike. Sort of rocking and rolling a little bit, but he's a powerful rider. The secret is we saw with Bradley Wiggins in Paris-Nice last year, and Romandy and other places, you can just stay in this position for as long as possible, and there is that little bit of advantage by staying on the drops and just churning away. If you can do that, it doesn't look like you're going fast, but it can just save you tenths of seconds, hundredths of seconds. That makes all the difference. Big gear again coming up. Very good time by Kwiatkowski, 46.16. Here he is. Here's the man everybody's watching. Started the day, starts this day 28 seconds down on overnight leader Sergio Aino, who is nowhere near the front of this. Aino, he's lying 11th back at the moment. He too having a little bit of a wobble, but nothing untoward. Tony Martin, the world time trial champion, looking very confident and powerful yesterday. Just turning over that big gear. Doesn't look like he's doing anything at all, but look at the background. Look at the way it's just flying past. Little bit of a drag here, and he's just sat there. The question is he going to overtake the 28 seconds of Sergio Henao? I would very much doubt if he's going to be slower than that. Little bit of rain seems to be on the lens again, but the road is fairly dry. He's just churning away at a big gear. The question, I suppose the other question is, I mean, if he's that far up already on everybody else, then just how much of a gap can he put into this man here? 28 seconds of an advantage for Sergio Henao. He's no slouch against the clock. Henao, much higher position than Tony Martin, much more short in the arms, and spinning those pedals quite quickly. He's a little bit all over the place, isn't he? It's a shame we haven't seen the head-on shot of Tony Martin at that point, because I think he'd just come around there like a scythe. Here is Martin. Look at the difference in gear that he's pushing. Oh, he's catching men ahead as well. Wearing number 1 on his back, as he has been all week, and just the pace he's going to catch and pass the man in front of him. He's just going to fly past. Wait for it. Oh, I guess if you start off just ahead of Tony Martin, you've got to expect that, really, haven't you? Never going to get back from that. No matter how fast you go, it's just not going to happen for you. Is Tony Martin fast enough to catch the next man down the line, starting at 2-minute intervals? We shall see. Doesn't look to be troubled at the moment, and he's just absolutely piling it on here. Little bit of a drag all the time, but he hasn't deviated once from the tuck position. Well, interesting, we've seen this shot already with Sergio Henao. I'm not sure why they've edited it that way, but Henao has gotten through on our shots. Here is Tony Martin. Let's see what the time for Tony Martin is. Oh, 45.09. And indeed, Sergio Henao ended up 12th overall. Tony Martin with 28 seconds down took 1 minute and 5 seconds out of his nearest rival, his teammate Michael Kwiatkowski. That's a wonderful performance by Tony Martin, looking good for the early season.
It's not easy. It looks like on the paper, but it was a hard fight for the whole course. But I'm really happy with the result. Gives me a lot of motivation for the next races. I really like the race. It's my 4th year now, 1 time second and 2 times first, so it's perfect, and I really want to come back here.
No, I'm not surprised. This is Radio Shack Leopard, best team overall. This is Jose Azevedo. Well, it's some sort of prize, I guess, winning a team prize plus, but more the victory of Giacomo Nizzolo. But our main goal was from the beginning to win a stage and fight for general classification. We were near
geral,
second a couple of times. Yesterday we were fighting, but we were just short of general classification.
Mas também temos que reconhecer que
When
coisa
man in
Tony Martin
sixth,
teve
but
não deixa
Martin
dúvidas
is
negativas, não é? A
really
diferença
strong
que ele
today,
ganha o contra-relógio
invincible,
com mais
you
de
know.
minuto não deixa dúvidas.
Wins the time trial by more than a minute. No doubts are possible. Best Portuguese rider on the day, Rui Costa.
Foi contra-relógio bastante complicado, duro,
Yep.
rápido,
A difficult time trial.
exigente, mas pronto,
Very
dei
quick,
o meu melhor e
very
isso
hard,
é o que me deixa
demanding.
tranquilo. E,
Did
bom,
my best, so
o
I'm
que eu
happy.
posso dizer da Volta ao Algarve, faço que balanço
I think it's
positivo, as
good
minhas
from
sensações
my
foram
performance
boas,
in the Algarve.
cada
I've got
dia
better
melhor.
every day.
E bem, o que eu posso dizer mais é que
While
enquanto a Volta ao
Volta
Algarve
Algarve
foi
had
decidida no
a
contra-relógio, para
time
nós
trial like
portugueses
this at
vai
the
ser
end, it's
difícil
difficult for us
lutar
Portuguese
pelos 3 lugares do pódio.
to fight for the podium. So there's the final classification. Tony Martin leads ahead of a teammate Mikhail Kwiatkowski and Liwei Westra in third spot overall. Dennis Menchov, good time trial by him, finishes fourth. Emanuele Barraro, you can see there, hang up the mountains classification. Best Portuguese rider, Rui Costa. So another good, another really good Volta Algarve. That was Sabido of La Encante, the sprints winner. Emanuele Barraro takes the mountains classification. Best Portuguese rider was Movistar's. It's very epic music, isn't it? Tom Cruise coming in a minute. Something like that. Bruce Willis. Throw a cigar on the ground and walk in the podium. Giacomo Nizzolo takes the points and the Volta Algarve overall. Tony Martin.